So I am actually screwed. Over winter break, they asked us to create an architecture portfolio, and then we can submit said portfolio to the school to get funding for traveling, which is really cool. That's great and fine and dandy, but they asked us to do a portfolio over break. Here's the kicker. I didn't do one. It is 3 o'clock and the deadline for this is 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So it's 3 p.m. now. I have a couple work meetings waiting for the meeting. And honestly, I just thought I would vlog the chaoticness that's going to happen. Let's see if we can work some magic here. Fingers crossed, and I'll take you guys along with. So after crying your eyes out and re-downloading Adobe InDesign, I play around with the margins. Honestly, I didn't have the correct unit sizes, and you can see me acting like a fool. Honestly, if you just click that preview box, you can just like copy my settings if you want. Plagiarism. Gotta love it. Keep in mind, you can always go back and change these margin settings, and that's what I was doing here. Believe it or not, I do heed my own advice, and I go to Issue. Honestly, Issue is like a great publication site that you can use to scour the internet and find these wonderful portfolios. So kind of find one and honestly copy the style or a font pairing that you really like. So I spent actually a couple minutes here just like trying to find a really good, in my opinion, architecture portfolio. A lot of graduate students who go to the Ivy Leagues for architecture school are the ones that I'm most inclined to click on, but you could see like in this portfolio, for instance, beautiful renders. Now, I would like to think that I know all that I need to know about graphic design and stuff like that, but Google has been my best resource. I will Google font pairings, for instance, and how to properly combine fonts. So make sure you use your resources, because like with font pairings, for instance, I'm kind of stupid. So I consulted multiple websites. I also consulted websites regarding my color pairing. I copy it. I just copy it and utilize it in a way that suits me and fits me. And just keep in mind, there's people out there whose job it is to pair fonts and know more about graphic design than I ever will, right? Another book that I always mention on the channel is a book by Karen Lewis. I will link it down below, and she goes over Portfolio Basics 101. Highly recommend. Next big step, I do some font pairings. Honestly, some of them are ugly, some of them work. I liked this Babus Nueve, which means 9 in Spanish. I'm butchering this, embarrassing myself. Anyway, I liked this font pairing and I ran with it. And if you'll know, if you are a dedicated viewer of the Tube of Views, this channel, Unraveling Architecture, I actually use this font a lot. So fun fact, that's probably why I was motivated to use it. Picked it out of a lineup. Plot twist, I found out later that I couldn't have my name on this. So after hours of work and procrastination, I realized that my cover design is pointless and I had to redo it later. All right, so it's been about an hour and a half since I started. It's 4:23. Unfortunately, I was not productive, but also at the same time, I wanted to spontaneously clean my room. I don't know why. I am nowhere. I'm still freaking nowhere, and I just like, there's just not enough time. Well, actually, that's false. I had a whole month to do this, but to me, there's not enough time for me to do this in less than 24 hours, and I should have started way earlier, but I had a lot of work obligations, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm just making excuses for myself. It is what it is, so we'll see how we can get this rolling. And also I found out that this portfolio has to be anonymous, so I can't even put my name on it. Fingers crossed, guys. So next thing on the agenda is kind of picking a color palette. I do also go to Google, pick a color palette I love. You guys already know teal is my favorite color. This isn't like super teal, it's kind of more blue. Love this blue. That's my favorite color. I'm working on the cover here, and actually I like approach this cover very differently, and I decide to include a section drawing. More to come soon. Tried to do the cover page actually last. Now you can see I am blocking out how my project introduction pages are going to work and my table of contents are going to work. This is very iterative, and this is where Issue comes into hand. You can view all the portfolios that you referenced before and copy one. Literally, guys, heed my advice, because copying saves time and you can see what works and what doesn't in a very quick way. I really utilized master pages in InDesign to my advantage in this portfolio, and you could do some funky side thing if you want. That didn't work out for me, but just always an option. I always set up my page numbers using master pages as well. Designing your portfolio will take several iterations. On this table of contents, I saw this content book that was actually vertical instead of horizontal. I really liked it and I wanted to give it a whirl. Might have wasted my time here, and maybe I shouldn't have been so adventurous, but it ended up being kind of hard to read. But
but don't be afraid to like try new things when it comes to your portfolio, just because it could make a new statement and stuff like that, and do something untraditional that really sets you apart from other applicants. Because basically I looked at this line as it was a timeline, but also this isn't chronological, so it's whatever. Anyway, kind of switched it back to like a more traditional thing, but I also like try to paste in place a lot of components and things so that like when you flip through, especially in a PDF, everything lines up perfectly. And I think that is so satisfying when you're quickly flipping through somebody's portfolio. And also, just to reiterate, cover design is super hard, super tricky, so please be kind to yourself. So here's the table of contents. Looks pretty good in my opinion. All right, well, what's the time? It's 6 o'clock now. I'm thinking about taking a nap. So here's my most recent project. I made a model video making time-lapse blah blah blah. You can watch it on my channel. That is this project that I am trying to format. Now, honestly, I don't have a good enough render to make that my cover for my project introduction page because I'm an idiot. Anyway, always formatting a new project and like in a new portfolio and a new style and a new grid and a new everything, it can be very overwhelming, and I think like I just got really overwhelmed here. So not my best work, so please don't mind me. You know, I tried to use what I had. I had these diagrams done. I didn't have time to make a new one given my deadline. Going back and like sprucing up old projects is actually really good. Going forward, I kind of regret not having a really good render, just like a cover render. So anyway, I have my form development diagrams. Conceptual diagrams are always super important to include in your portfolio, and you can see that I am paying strict attention to this grid. Guys, anytime I review one of your portfolios, a lot of times they don't respect a grid, and please, if you could take one thing away from this video, grids matter, you know? And when you're flipping through a PDF on your computer really quickly, you can tell if things dance on the page, and you don't want that. You want things to be consistent and same font and same location of your font. Guys, I love portfolios and I'm happy to review them with you, and you can learn from my mistakes too that I've made in the past, because trust me, I've made so many. Alrighty, it is 7:30. I am watching Pride and Prejudice again, and I'm still working on my portfolio. I actually think this time I'm gonna be a little adventurous and include like an image on my cover portfolio. Totally out of character for me. Do I take a nap now? Didn't take one yet, so I have a lot to do. So after taking a nap and hating myself later for it, it's okay, I really needed it. Quickest way to continue this portfolio actually is, once I had a layout, I kept duplicating the spread. This is a major life hack. Instead of, you know, trying to replicate everything, either paste in place or just duplicate a spread and change the text, change the images, and so on and so forth. Like I mentioned earlier, I really utilized master pages, so I made a new master set for each project, and that was like my footer with the page number. I will be actually uploading a portfolio tutorial, and I go more into the logistics of how this works. This is more of a vlog style. So it's 1 o'clock now in the morning. I'm actually like really chugging along, and it's because once I did the new project, I can really just copy and paste a lot of components, captions, pictures, images, layouts, and other systems that I already worked out in previous portfolios. So that's why it's so important to keep backups of your previous portfolio. I actually can't find my most recent portfolio, so I had to redo a project layout and stuff like that. It was really no big deal, but yeah, but just like keep that in mind as you're working through portfolios. And you'll notice the later parts of this vlog, I'm just flying through it, and this is because I just had a reference older portfolio that I kept copying and pasting text from. You'll also notice that I kind of opted to shrink down larger drawings because I think that's kind of nice. It kind of makes your viewers stop on a page and look more intently at the drawings that you have produced thus far. Regardless, I still always respect the grid. I tried to make certain projects have a certain color scheme, but you'll notice with my most recent project, Ag Rug Culture, the first project I detailed, is kind of all over the place, and that's my fault because I didn't allot enough time to go through Photoshop everything just to make it look and have a similar aesthetic. So this project Flow, it has like that nice brown texture and it's kind of pastel-y, and it looks nice. It looks like a cohesive project. I also recommend blending multiple kinds of drawings and renders together instead of it just being plan. Have a plan and a section and a perspective or elevation and a render, model photos, everything. Now you can also have an etc. section, just miscellaneous work. Let's say you know Revit, or you're a photographer, or you're an artist, or you do art installations. I recommend having this too because it really sets you apart. Everyone's gonna have a studio project. Any architecture student is going to have a studio project. So wow them, you know? I love painting, so I included some paintings, you know? Whatever you want. All right, it's 2. I just finished like my fellowship proposal thingy, and I just did like the last final round. So now my next challenge is to get this down to 30 megabytes. So wish me luck. Always the hard part. I'm finished. I'm finished. I am finished. Woo, it's submitted. Honestly, here's the truth. I was expecting to basically pull an all-nighter, and it's only 2:30. I was able to reduce the portfolio size, one, because the requirement is actually pretty large. I've applied to some firms actually in the past. Portfolio size requirement is literally 10, and I have 30, so I have a lot of leeway. My images towards the end aren't as crisp because, you know, you have to make some concessions. But other than that, actually, I'm really happy with the work that I produced in literally under 24 hours. It's pretty good in my opinion. Total refresh. I did a very basic portfolio before, but I actually kind of like this. It's not my absolute best work, but I will say that I can go back here and refresh a lot of things, and I already have like a great working template. So when I'm really busy with school and I need to apply for an internship, I will have the capacity to have a great starting point to begin with. My peers are incredibly talented. You know, it's no big deal if I don't get to go to Alaska, but fingers crossed, guys. Wish me luck. I hope this was entertaining and maybe you learned some more portfolio hacks along the way. Future, I hope to have another portfolio review with Connor, so stay tuned for that and let me know if there's any other videos you guys like to see. Anyway, love you guys.